Bleeding Purple Podcast.
Deep block, steps up in the pocket. Hill fires the right side. Caught by Diggs. Stay alive. Oh my God! 30, no tag. Are you kidding me? The finish in the Minneapolis. No way! Stephon Diggs in the Minnesota Vikings have walked off on the New Orleans Saints. It's a 61-yard Minneapolis miracle. I can't believe what I just saw. What an unbelievable play.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig. I write for Vikings Territory. This is Adam Patrick. He writes for the Vikings. Welcome.
Yeah. What's up? Enjoying this off-season lull, I guess.
It's definitely a lull. There's not a whole lot going on. Minicamp obviously took place. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about Denny Green going into the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. You are like me, I think, in timeline-wise, where this was Denny Green was the first coach that I ever knew of the Vikings. He had a very interesting, I guess, tenure here because he did not win a lot of playoff games. He lost 4 playoff games in a row before he won a playoff game.
But they went to the playoffs.
But they went to the playoffs all the time. Yes, that's right. They only missed the playoffs once in his entire tenure. Twice, did it? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
He only had a losing record once.
Okay, thank you. I am a huge Denny Green guy, partially for what I said because that was when they were coming up, and then 98 happened, and that, if you were a Vikings fan at that point, or if you weren't a Vikings fan at that point, you probably were after 98. What I'm trying to ask here is, what are your favorite Denny Green moments, Denny Green memories from his time with the Vikings? Or maybe
I just remember them just being successful every year. They weren't they didn't have a horrible record every year. They had a chance every year with him as the head coach, and I feel like he got the most out of his players. He was definitely a player's coach, and he got the most out of guys that maybe some people didn't want, maybe an Orlando Thomas or a Robert Griffith, John Randall.
Mm-hmm. John Randall's a great example.
Randall Cunningham at the end of his career, Warren Moon at the end of his career. All these guys, he was able to just squeeze out all he could out of them. And he took a chance on Randy Moss. I don't know how good of a career Chris Carter would have had if it wasn't for Dennis Green. Robert Smith. There's a lot of guys that owe their success
of Hall of Famers.
NFL to Denny Green. And I was just writing about him, and he was fired in 2002 after his very first and only losing season as the Vikings head coach. And I was just left me wondering, what could have been if he wasn't fired. Could he have, maybe one day be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not just the Ring of Honor? He could have been the guy to lead the Vikings to Super Bowl. He got them very close a number of times.
Yeah.
And, at the time he was fired, they still had Culpepper, they still had Randy Moss, and all those guys were, very sad to see him go. So it was, no one really knows, the real reason why he was fired. Still, I'm sure there's some people out there that know the true reason, but there's a bunch of theories that have been thrown out there, but nothing's ever been concrete, and, it's just something that it's unfortunate because he could have been a lot better. It's just weird that he was fired after his first and only losing season.
Exactly. And it feels like one of those, one of my least favorite things in professional sports is when teams have sustained success but cannot win championships, because you wind up doing, and this happens in Minnesota all the time, because we can't win championships regularly. But then you fire a coach because they can't get over the hump, assuming that the next person you're going to bring in is just going to be able to take that step. But what usually happens is you bring the next guy in and there's a serious regression in the team, and you wind up drafting high again.
because they want to do their own thing. They want all
Their own guys.
players.
Yep, exactly.
They want to run, do it their way and not that way. But there's been stuff like that that's successful, like Steve Kerr on the Warriors, like replacing Mark Jackson, even like Phil Jackson with the Lakers, like this basketball. Yeah.
Phil Jackson in Chicago too with the Bulls.
Tony Dungy or John Gruden in Tampa Bay when he replaced Tony Dungy, but then Dungy went to the Colts and he won a Super Bowl. There's been Pete Carroll, I guess, in Seattle. I don't really know who he replaced. They didn't hit Chiefs success. That was Holmgren
that he replaced, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of.
But do you think about how many times it happens though where they make that move and then it results in that coach, the replacement coach, being fired in like 3 or 4 seasons because they've gotten absolutely terrible. Like Mike Tice is one example of that. But
I don't think the Vikings have had as good of a coach or run of success until Mike Zimmer got.
Yeah, since Denny Green, for sure. Oh, yeah, I don't even think you can argue that.
Childress had a little bit of success, but I don't know how much of that was him and how much of that was having Adrian Peterson and Brett Favre.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dennis Green, he was just able to do a lot with a little. When I was writing this article or whatever, I found out that he had 14 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
During his tenure.
Yeah.
Like, you look at some of the Hall of Fame coaches like Bill Walsh and Chuck Noll and all those guys. They had like one quarterback, like Joe Montana.
Yes. Yeah.
Jerry Bradshaw, like
John Elway, exactly. And not only with the quarterbacks, but Denny Green also like didn't have any defensive backs for a long stretch. Like they were moving guys from wide receiver to play defensive back because they had nobody back there. And for, like you said, to be able to go through that kind of stuff and not have a quarterback and have a very questionable defense, or at times in portions, I guess, at certain positions, very questionable, and then to win as many games as he did, because what was his record? He's 97-62 in the regular season with the Vikings. Like that,
I think
that's impressive.
I think Bud Grant had like a 62% winning percentage with the Vikings, and Denny Green had a 61% winning percentage with the Vikings.
And think about that. Do you think people hold Denny Green in the same like category as Bud Grant?
No, but if he wasn't, if he wasn't fired, it might have been a different story.
God, it's so interesting to think. What if they would have left? If he would have kept his job? I also heard today on K-Fan, Barrero was talking about Sid Hartman was a big Pete Carroll guy and wanted him to get hired. And what happens then? What if Denny Green isn't hired and Pete Carroll gets hired instead? That's a crazy alternate world too. But I think
Pete Carroll gets hired before Denny Green, or
replaces him. Either way. But because I think Carroll wound up going. Was that his Jet stint pre
either that or
USC?
So I don't know. That might have worked out better than Tice. Tice really didn't.
Yeah, well, in hindsight, it's easy to say. I don't know. Tice was like the easy. He's like, yeah, he's right here. He makes sense. He's ready to be a head coach. Blah blah blah. But yeah, in hindsight, I think the Randy ratio is one of the dumbest things like in the history of not just Vikings football, but just football in general. To explain to everybody in the world
English language.
Yeah, to explain to everybody what you're going to do and what percentage of the time you're going to do it. Like, good God, man. How did nobody tell him that was...
he had a little diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah, he did. It's well put, really good sir. Well put.
Keep it close. He's authentic. Yeah. How often does that work out in head coaching?
Not very often.
Not very.
And he's a good coach. I think he is a good positional coach. I think he could be a good coordinator. But head coach and head honcho, I don't know about that for him.
When I was writing, I was kind of thinking of coaches now or coaches that Denny Green compares to, and I kept coming back to like Marvin Lewis, just because the Bengals always seem to get to the playoffs, and
players love him.
Yeah, and just never able to get over the hump. But Denny Green at least got to some conference championship games. So
would you trade in the NFC? Because say they never fired Denny Green, but let's also say that he continues kind of the way he did, where they never get to a Super Bowl, they never win a Super Bowl, and they just kind of keep that like always above 500, always in the playoffs, but never winning a ton of games, never getting to the like final step. Do you think that would you still want him to not get fired if you knew that was going to be the outcome?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, because it's just more fun to watch your team win games, make the playoffs. Have a little extra football in the year instead of being like, here we go again. They're 3-12. Can't wait for the next game.
For sure.
That point, you're like, in this season, you're like, let's see if we can. Is there a movie playing now, like that we can go to instead of watch this game?
Exactly.
Well, when he was the coach, yeah, you wanted to watch every week just to see if they would win. At the end of his tenure, though, I feel like he had more success than in the beginning because they won 15 games.
Yeah, definitely had more playoff success in the
2 NFC championships. So, like, that year that he didn't do well is just weird, and I don't think that it, like, shows that he would have done the same in the future.
Yeah. When was the Demetrius Underwood? Was he in the like player personnel power? Because he was there for a long time, and by the end of it, he was making a lot of those decisions.
I think he was the VP of player personnel.
Oh man,
he played a factor in. They had a general manager, but he played a factor who they picked and stuff. So he definitely had a part in them drafting him, and then the Corey Stringer thing comes up a lot.
Great.
That happened the season before his last season.
Oh yeah, God, I didn't even think about that.
That probably had more of an effect on their play that year than anything.
Oh God, yeah. Could you imagine? Geez Louise.
I feel like
I totally forgot about that.
Green was more of a scapegoat for their failures that season than them realizing, hey, one of their friends and teammates died, on the same field that they practiced on before.
Exactly. The same place they had to,
it's not really easy to just come back from that and act like everything's normal.
Yeah, no kidding. And then, and on top of that, be professional and don't get too emotional when you're, like, doing these interviews and stuff. Yeah. It's like,
I think a lot of it had to do with ownership. Red McCombs was the owner
running the
at
show.
At that time. I'm pretty sure he was also the guy behind Randy Moss getting traded. So I don't really, I don't.
But he did come up with Purple Pride, so we can't really be that mad at him, can we? Because that was pretty awesome for that stretch.
His tenure as an owner is not something that should be.
Because that was Love Boat was while he was involved too.
No.
Or was that before?
The Wolves were owners. I think that was one of their first years as owners. Because I remember.
No way, that was Wilfs. Shut
I remember watching the Barstool documentary. If you've ever seen that, like those short.
Oh yeah.
On the Love Boat.
Yes.
Where they're like, Ziggy Wilf came in. He was like, "You're a disgrace," and all that stuff. So yeah.
Fred Smoot explaining the difference between dancers and prostitutes.
Yeah.
I have seen that. That's a very good documentary.
One of the few Barstool things I enjoyed. I think that and the Bills fans documentary too.
Yeah. God, Bills fans.
Those are the documentaries you need.
That's true. Okay, so Denny Green, Ring of Honor. That was good. I like him. I'm happy about it. I wonder, you got to think that Randy Moss will be coming back for that ceremony. Randy Moss loved Denny Green.
It depends, he's got a job.
Oh, yeah, he's got that job. That's right. He might be out of town. Yeah, fair. Okay.
Because
we'll forgive him if he's busy, but
it's not a night game. I think it's week 3 against the Bills at home. So
I mean,
there'll be some former players there though.
Oh
sure.
yeah,
probably John Randall and Robert Smith and guys like that for sure. Maybe Tony Dungy too, because I think Dungy was one of his defensive coordinators.
I think so, yeah. I think you are correct. All right, so other news. Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Laquan Treadwell and his newfound love, which is quarterbacks who, quote, actually target him.
Yeah.
Whoa. By all accounts, he seems like he's doing much better and is obviously being targeted by Kirk Cousins. But what do you think that's the issue? Is that he wasn't being targeted by these quarterbacks, or do you think that he's maybe got a point?
Maybe not in his rookie year, but last year definitely I feel like it could have, because there were points where you could look at the all 22 film or whatever and see a bunch of times where Treadwell's open, like wide open, and Keenum does not see him.
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't a few of Keenum's like most egregious misses of open players were
forcing the ball to Diggs or
Laquan.
Thielen or Rudolph? And Treadwell's probably wide open somewhere else, but yeah, Keenum had probably like 2 or 3 reads on each of his plays.
Yeah,
and none of them
involved
Treadwell. Because I think Treadwell played every game last year, and he was on the field for a bunch of snaps. He only had 20 catches, but we'll see. It's minicamp. But Cousins is known for spreading the ball around more than most quarterbacks. I think.
Getting deeper into his reads and his progressions than most quarterbacks can.
Yeah,
or are able to, I should say.
Third receiver on a Kirk Cousins offense is going to be more productive than one in the Case Keenum offense.
Yeah. So. Do you think there's any chance that Laquan Treadwell can be the number 3 wide receiver on this team and can be productive, or have you given up? I may have given up on him. I think I might have given up on him.
I haven't given up because I know the Vikings like his. This is stupid because he's a receiver, but they like his run blocking ability, which is why he's able to stay on the field. But if he's claiming that he was open so much last year as he was, then he should. Kirk Cousins is he's gonna be a guy that's gonna find him, this season. So this is really it. Like, if he doesn't produce at like a satisfying level this year, then it's probably end of the road for him. So
yeah, I would agree.
Because I know people are high on Kendall Wright, but putting Kendall Wright on the field also takes Thielen or Diggs out of the slot, and I don't think the Vikings want to do that as much as people think they do.
Yeah,
because they like having those guys in there and getting mismatches and stuff like that. So
for sure,
I feel like Kendall Wright's probably going to be the 4th receiver. People think he's going to be the 3rd, but you got to factor in him being in the slot because he's a smaller receiver. So
yeah, for sure.
Can't really put him on the outside.
On the edge. And especially, and Laquan is a pretty big dude, so he's out there more often. The Treadwell thing, I don't know. Minicamp and
clock is ticking.
We're at that time of year now where everything is like an overreaction. Everything is overblown, like the whole deal, everything that we're seeing. But speaking of that, let's talk about the worst day ever, Kirk Cousins' terrible performance in the red zone recently. What day was that? I can't even remember what day it was.
Yeah, it was the second day of minicamp.
But so he, couple overthrows or what to an interception, 2 interceptions. He was bad, and the
red zone drills. It wasn't like a scrimmage or anything.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
against the number 1 defense from 2017,
and that number 1 defense knew that you weren't going to run the ball because it was a drill.
Yeah, they're not. It's a red zone drill. You're not running the ball really.
So maybe we're making too big of a deal out of
definitely.
Kirk Cousins' bad day.
And Cousins admitted afterwards too that this is the time to like try stuff out. So he was like trying to see what he could get away with against this defense.
Yeah.
Quickly found out can't get away with a whole lot
for sure
because they're very good. But it like we said, it's the off season, so it's the time to make a lot of nothing. Although the Treadwell thing, I think he wouldn't say that for just no reason to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So I would put a little more into that than the Cousins interceptions in drills during minicamp.
Here is the thing. Well, 2 things about the Kirk Cousins bad afternoon that I enjoyed the most. First thing, in the quote thing, he said he was salty, and that's a word we need to bring back. Being salty
That's good.
about, I loved it. So thumbs up,
Like
Kirk
that.
Cousins. Continue using words like that. I will use them myself. That thumbs up to him for that. I forgot what the second one was. God dang it. Second one, Kirk Cousins. Salty. Nothing. Unbelievable. I totally forgot it. It's ridiculous.
I guess you're fired. This is Tyler's last day on the podcast. If anyone's looking for a...
All right, moving on.
It's the off season for the
podcast host too, for real. All right, what else do we got? Mike Hughes.
Yeah,
getting a lot of love from Zimmer, according to Tom Corsaro. Allegedly. What did Zimmer say? He's recognizing things well. He's identifying blah, 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 blah. He is still working with the third team because he's a rookie on Mike Zimmer's defense. But again, overreaction. What do we make of this? This is a good sign. We don't hear Mike Zimmer say this often about rookies. Definitely.
Not about rookies and not about
corners.
Young defensive backs.
Yeah.
So I believe he interviewed with Paul Allen on K-Fan last week, and Mike Zimmer said that Mike Hughes he's adjusted the best of any young corner he's had since being in Minnesota. That's a pretty big compliment from somebody who doesn't give out small compliments.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
But at the same time, until we get to the season or the preseason and see how much Hughes actually plays, we can only take what Zimmer's saying with a grain of salt. He does like, the direction he's heading in, but, until he gets on the field and actual situations, pads and stuff like that, it's different when because he's got to adjust to the pro rules where you can't really touch anybody, stuff like that. But it sounds like Hughes is definitely doing well and making the Vikings look good for selecting him with their first round pick.
Have we heard anything about his punt returning, kick returning skills? Is he good there? Is he excelling at everything? I haven't heard anything about his return skills.
I think Mike Prefer said that he's doing better as a kick returner than a punt returner. Not that he's doing bad as a punt returner, but he's just more used to kick returns and punt returns. I don't think he was a punt returner in college. He just did kick returns. So that's something to keep an eye on, because if he does figure out how to do well as a punt returner, that could be, an opening for the Vikings to get rid of Marcus Sherrills. But
that would be a sad day.
But we've learned over the years,
don't bet against him.
No, don't bet against Marcus Sherrills. Just don't.
Just don't. It's a bad idea. It's true. You're totally
if he fumbles like 30 times in the preseason, he's still going to
find a way. He's still going to find a way. Also with Hughes, I was reading, he only played like a handful of snaps in the slot in college, which is where they have him taken. Yeah, which is where they have him taking most of his snaps, evidently, in this. So that also is a good sign that Zimmer is liking what he's doing in the slot, and that means more playing time, or hopefully more playing time for him.
Yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of playing time, Terrence Newman playing safety a little bit? Question mark.
Yeah, it's another overblown. You should get like a sounder for this, like overblown off-season takes.
Yes, there it was. You just did it. That's perfect. That's the sounder right there. Yes.
Sendejo was not practicing during minicamp. I think he's nursing a calf injury. So, they need someone to
line up in the spot.
Newman's like 79 years old, and he's been playing in Zimmer's system for the past 50 years.
Could probably do the safety spot with his eyes closed, even though it's not his natural position.
Pretty much every position in that defensive backfield by like the back of his hand. So I think it's being made out of it than it should be. I think it was just him filling in, maybe, getting some reps in his safety to see how that could go if Sendejo's hurt later in the year. I did think it was interesting that they had him playing safety over like Anthony Harris or Jaron Kearse. I don't know what that says about those guys. But until he's playing safety in the preseason, the regular season, I really wouldn't make anything of it.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more. I remembered what I was going to say about the Kirk Cousins thing. The second part of is how butthurt the Washington Redskin fans are. Oh my gosh, they were all over that tweet. This is what you're going to get, you guys. Let's have fun with that. And I was like shocked at how it makes sense because Kirk Cousins, it says, basically told him to frig off and he didn't want any long-term love there. So as a fan, of course, your reaction then to him playing on your team for the next 2 years is this guy sucks and red zone's garbage and you guys are going to love this.
How many games would they have won without Kirk Cousins?
That's a great point. Probably not very many. Probably not very many.
I think he was sacked like 40 times last year, and they won 7 games somehow.
Well, and we've talked
Channing
about it before.
Crowder is their number 1 receiver.
Yes, exactly. And he knows, Kirk Cousins knew playing on that team that he was going to have to win games. So he makes throws that he otherwise wouldn't because he feels obligated to put his team in that position. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I just thought it was amazing how angry a lot of those Washington fans are.
I just think it's funny how some people still don't think that it's an upgrade by having Cousins as their starter over Keenum.
Oh my God, but have you heard about how good Keenum has been? Have you heard about how good Teddy Bridgewater is? What
Teddy
are the
Bridgewater,
Vikings doing? They're ruining it.
Yeah, it's minicamp.
Oh my God.
I was thinking about that too, but didn't everyone go through this last year with Teddy where, he's back throwing in camp and he looks great, he's throwing lasers, looks like he's jacked.
Swole.
But, when it comes to playing in a game, that's when things start to get a little, I don't know if we want to put him out there, his knee and stuff.
Yes, it's a lot easier to throw passes without people diving at your legs.
I'm super happy for Teddy, that he's getting all this praise and stuff.
Yes, and I hope he winds up being the starter. I really do. Yeah, personally.
I think he's going to be traded before the start of the year.
You're probably right.
Some quarterback's going to get hurt, and they're going to be like, oh, Teddy Bridgewater. But I'm not going to build him up and be like, oh, the Vikings are stupid for letting him go because he hasn't played in a meaningful game in 2 years.
It shocks me that people would pick either of those two or Bradford over having Kirk Cousins. It really is hard for me to because
they just look at the Redskins record and they're like, oh, that's all his fault, even though he threw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's just so I just don't understand it. I understand the idea of wanting to reward Case Keenum for a job well done, but at this point, with that free agent available, you don't reward him with a long-term contract. You don't lock yourself into that. That would be so foolish.
The kind of money that he could have got on the open market, that's too big of a risk.
Yeah.
Especially when your head coach doesn't even like him. Not that he doesn't like him as a person, but isn't confident.
But was not confident naming him as the starting quarterback until the game before the last game. Yes. Oh God, man! It's June and we're still talking about Case Keenum and Teddy. It's amazing.
Oh, wait till the preseason.
Oh God, it's gonna be so fun! I cannot wait for Teddy Bridgewater's first preseason because you know he's gonna throw for 2 touchdowns and he's gonna look amazing and people are just gonna lose their mind. Yes, the 13 defense. Yes. Yeah. Okay, what else do we have? So Brian O'Neill running routes? Question mark.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, well, when he first got to Pittsburgh, he came in as a tight end. And then he was switched off as a tackle. And I think he scored 2 touchdowns in his college career on trick plays or whatever. So he does have some, catching abilities and experience. I think the Vikings are just, trying to figure that stuff out. Many camps a place just try new and weird things.
That's exactly it. That is exactly what they're doing.
Figure out how to.
You ran routes? Cool. Do that now. Let's see.
Yeah, figure out how to do stuff in a long day of practice that won't, hurt players. So once again, I wouldn't make anything of it. Could be something that the Vikings could pull out in a trick play once or twice.
I was just going to say that. Over
the whole
under
season.
times they use it all season, 4.
Like, remember when Linval Joseph was like a fullback in goal line situation? They did that like twice, and then they're like,
You know what happens with teams that do stuff like that? Let Refrigerator Perry run the football and throw touchdown passes. They win the bleeping Super Bowl. That's what they do. That's what this team's going to do. I thought that was very strange. If you needed more proof that this dude is a little bit undersized, he's running routes and catching passes. Like, if he was like where he was supposed to be size-wise.
Because he's athletic.
Super athletic. You're right. Very agile, nimble.
That's the word I hear every time anyone ever talks about him. He's very athletic.
Very athletic.
Oh, good. Can he block?
Exactly. What does it matter? Great, man. But can he stop an edge rusher in the NFL?
Would you call TJ Clemmings athletic? I wouldn't even call him athletic.
We need to stop bringing up TJ Clemmings.
But he's from Pittsburgh.
Oh, God,
I can't help it.
You're right.
That's why. It's not because I love ripping on him.
Poor TJ Clemmings. I'm starting the Leave TJ Alone fan club. Let's just forget that forget that he was ever here. Like, leave the poor man alone. Brian O'Neill, I would like to see them. Serious question though. Over under 4 times that he runs a route in the actual season. Under for sure. For sure.
You think Mike Zimmer is going to be like,
That's exactly right.
We're within a point. Let's throw the offensive lineman out there.
You know what? I'm feeling saucy. Let's run that gadget play. As Mike Zimmer never.
Vikings are known to blow teams out under Mike Zimmer, so they can just run a bunch of trick plays. He doesn't have to worry about the kicker missing extra points.
Yeah, not this year he won't.
Maybe.
No.
I don't. I wrote something last week where I don't think they should carry 2 kickers in the training camp. I think they should just pick one.
Yeah. And it ain't going to be the guy that they have to keep. Yeah, it's not going to be Forbat. They have to keep.
Everyone knows it's not going to be. I feel like they only have him for like injury reasons.
Forbat, like, in case this kid gets hurt.
Carlson gets hurt.
Yeah, because he's still under contract, and if you don't have to, why would you cut him? Because who else are you going to like put in that spot? Also, speaking of spots that are now open, my favorite story going into this training camp was Hercules. Hercules Mataafa, and now he tore his ACL and he's out. That was not minicamp. That was at the end of OTAs.
Yep.
And then, according to, or evidently a text thing going on with Chris Thomason, I believe, and his agent. Maybe not Chris Thomason. I might just give Chris Thomason that credit. But he, agent guy, said that the Vikings are going to like hang on to him and let him do his rehab and stuff at the facility all season, which is a great sign because I'm really glad they didn't cut him loose. I'm really excited about him, and I think he could be a really, really good player.
Well, apparently it's not as bad of an ACL tear, I guess, as they normally go. So
cool.
So it's not as bad, but I want to, take this time to publicly apologize because on our last podcast at the end, I said that someone needs to get hurt. So I feel like I should be responsible for this. 100%. But I also have to say thank you to the football gods for making it an undrafted player and not someone like Adam Thielen or Kirk Cousins.
Thank you.
So I get the warning. That's it.
You did. You've tempted the gods, and now you need to correct your ways.
I'll take the blame for the undrafted rookie.
I had totally forgotten about that, and when I logged on to this, the last message you were like, "Sacrifices must be made," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's right." He predicted it.
So, sorry about that, but
Man, that's too bad because I really was excited about Hercules. I was like, for an undersized dude, and they were trying him at linebacker, but then they moved him back. Knock that over just now. Be cool.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna make the final roster. I thought he'd probably make the practice squad, but still, he's a intriguing prospect just because he was able to be so successful in college and be that he's undersized.
Yeah.
So.
All right, see you next year, Hercules. Goofy news that I really want to talk about because I really want to hear your opinion about it. T.O. is he's going into the Hall of Fame, but he's not going to go to his induction ceremony.
just didn't make sure that was the TO you're talking about.
Oh yes, of course, the
Because there's so many TOs.
so many. How do you feel about this? First of all, let's get your. How do you feel about him as a player? Like, did you not like him while he was playing too? Because I didn't
He was
dislike
good, but I
him.
wasn't like.
Yeah.
I feel like he benefited more from being like the only option on his teams. Like he was with the Bills and.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess when he was with the Bengals, it was Chad Johnson too. But like when he's with the Niners, there wasn't really anyone else. The Cowboys, who was the second receiver?
Well, see, and that's what I think is like what I'm going to remember about his career is that he was always the guy that played on the team that lost before the big game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he went to a Super Bowl, but he was always the loudmouth on the good team that underperformed. And
I feel like I liked him
early
until that whole fiasco with the Eagles thing went down, where like he was doing the sit-ups in the driveway and stuff.
Oh God, that to me is the worst part.
Dude, you just had a season where you went to the Super Bowl. Like, just like figure something out to get back on the field. You could be like the best receiver in the NFL ever. Not that he doesn't think that already.
No, he definitely does. He definitely does.
But I wasn't at the same time like this whole him not going or whatever, having his own party. Like, doesn't surprise me.
No.
At first, I thought it was just like he wasn't going to the dinner that they have like before the night. But then I realized, oh, it's the actual ceremony.
The whole thing.
He's not going to be there. And I'm like, people are gonna like your fans and stuff are gonna be there to like want to see you and cheer you. Like,
it's the most him thing ever because he thinks that he's sticking it to the man, but in reality, you're not showing up to an event that the people who threw the event, they don't want you there. They don't want you to talk there. They would prefer you weren't there at all because they don't really like you, and you're telling them that you're not going to go and not going to give a speech. Those people are celebrating right now. They're so happy that he's not showing up. The only people who are being bothered are the guys or people who are his fans.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a couple digs in some speeches where like, oh, I didn't know if I was going to show up, but I'm glad I did.
For real. Oh, man. And think about this. He's the only guy that has ever done that. Of course he is.
It's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was able to attend, who did not. Who chose not to.
Derek Thomas wasn't at his induction ceremony.
Yeah, you're correct about that. I would agree. But yeah, T.O., man,
But is anyone
quintessential diva? No, you shouldn't be, because he's done this the whole time. This is the perfect cherry on top of his like career, is being like such an oblivious turd, even at the Hall of Fame induction. It's magical, really. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and then goes to show you all those people that think Randy Moss was a diva during his playing time. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close to T.O.
No. Well, like, Moss had some attitude, but it was always like, seemed to almost always be...
All his teammates loved him, though.
Yeah, exactly. And T.O. was not like that.
No.
That was not... He was always the problem. He was always the one that... but I don't know, but then he cried about his quarterback. So you could tell he's sensitive.
Yeah, Moss had some problems because he actually spoke up about stuff.
Exactly. About football stuff a lot of times.
Or
how bad the pasta was. But,
yes.
I mean...
some of the higher-ups in the organization or some like the old media people probably didn't, like that he actually criticized people that, probably deserved it.
Yeah. People seem to have a problem with people who do that. Call out the people who need to be called out.
They have... it depends, like, what they're calling people out about, too. Like, if it's actual truth stuff, or it's, like, you're just being an asshole stuff.
Yeah.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Moss was going out of his way to be mean or, terrible to people. He was just speaking what's on his mind, especially when people are just asking him every day questions.
Mr. Tanucci might disagree with you, but I hate that I will forever know the name of the like restaurant that he took apart in the pasta. Like,
for some reason I just thought of that Tekashi 6ix9ine guy. Do you know what that is?
Oh yeah.
some reason that's what it came to my mind.
Why
It's like, what do you say about it?
are you mentioning him? Speaking of Randy Moss and the Hall of Fame, let's talk about the locker.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. I like that. Well, first, I
That's
suppose
a Patriots jersey in there.
I was just going to say we should explain what it is first, but yeah, Vikings jersey prominently displayed.
There's only one helmet in there. It's a Vikings helmet.
I'm proud that he was a Viking.
Oh yeah.
I can say that now.
He should have been in Minnesota a lot longer.
Yeah. You know, that's tough because that was maybe the first time where I was like, yeah, it might be time for him to go. But at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were so bad at that point too. Wasn't that right before the like tailspin that was the like...
That was after the moon. That was like a couple months after he shot the moon.
Disgusting.
But that was in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was a playoff game, yeah.
And that the season before, I think he was hurt.
Because that was a Randy ratio. That was still Tice, correct?
Yeah, that whole team under him was just a crap sty.
Yeah.
Crap everywhere.
Crap sty.
Once again, you know, Moss or Green, he's like the scapegoat. Oh, look, he's being disorderly and fake mooning people.
He's such a bad apple.
We should trade him, even though he did it after he scored a touchdown.
In the playoffs.
And
at Green Bay.
Yeah. He should have been in Minnesota longer, but, you know, he didn't. And then he did pretty well with the Patriots.
Can't
he
argue
set,
that.
like, the single-season touchdown catch record.
Yep. Are they still the most prolific like offense that has ever been, or did somebody pass them after that?
I feel like the Broncos.
I feel like you're right. I feel like somebody very quickly
Peyton Manning had like 90 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. That was like was that his first year in Denver? He did that, I think.
First or second.
Yeah.
And then when Julius Thomas was actually like a decent tight end.
And they were good. And then he was so bad, and they won the Super Bowl, even though he was so bad. Because have you looked at his statistics from that season were appalling. He didn't play half of that season and still like led the NFL in interceptions for the vast majority of the year. That's incredible. What a defense they had to win a Super Bowl with that kind of quarterback performance. With Osweiler was your best QB that season, arguably. Wow. Wowzers. Ay caramba.
Yeah. So, no, it's cool to see that Hall of Fame stuff. Makes it more real that it's actually happening. Mm-hmm. And that ceremony is in August, I believe, and then it'll be here before we know it. I wish I could go. I probably won't, but I'll be watching. It might be one of the few speeches I've ever like set aside time to watch.
Actually watch. Yeah.
I don't even think I did that for Chris Carter, but I watched it afterwards. But I wasn't like, I have to make sure I watch.
Yeah, it wasn't appointment viewing for you by any stretch.
No.
Yeah, man, it's weird to see your favorite players be in the Hall of Fame. You know, like I'm definitely getting old. I can tell that's part of it.
Wait until like Kevin Garnett goes in the Hall of Fame.
Oh man. Well, and you are not supposed to wear the jersey of a player that is younger than you. Or I shouldn't say not supposed to, but
oh yeah.
There's like nobody on the team that I can have for a jersey anymore.
Brian Robinson?
Yeah, I think he's one.
Terrence Newman.
Oh yeah, Newman for sure. All right, good to know. I'm gonna buy one of those as soon as possible. Yeah, buddy.
Only one with a Terrence Newman jersey.
It'll be awesome. I'm so excited about it. That's great. I'm glad we settled on that Terrence Newman jersey. That's good stuff. But yeah, man, getting old is weird, and seeing your favorite players go into the Hall of Fame or be acknowledged by like the national media, like Randy Moss going in and everybody, because I know how we feel about how good he was, but to see everybody kind of admit that he changed things and was
a
really important part of it, a really important part of the NFL for a number of years.
A lot of like the receivers today, like Antonio Brown and Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. That's pretty sweet.
Saying how he's like, it was their favorite receiver growing up and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that also makes me feel old. Yeah, me too. And you're in the NFL. Okay, I'm old. All right.
You are doing way better at life than me.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I don't know what else we got. I guess we should knock on wood and feel good about the injury situation for the entire team, because you're right. The only big injuries have happened to players who are not going to be big portions. I guess injury update though. Everson Griffin's still not practicing, participating.
It's just knee. I think it's
yeah, because it's not his
knee soreness.
Plantar fasciitis. Okay.
Yeah, Sendejo with the calf. So I think they were being held out for just precautionary reasons, because you saw all the players that tore their ACL or stuff in minicamp. After that, the Vikings are like, no, you guys are guys.
Yeah, you're good. Just ice it. You're fine. Elfline's still recovering too. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? Who else was not participating?
No, I think everyone. Dalvin Cook is supposed to be ready for. Everyone's supposed to be
full participant
on track for training camp. I don't know if I think last year there was a couple that participated in the first day, and then after they were like, I need to sit out for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or people punched another teammate in the helmet and hurt their hand, but that didn't happen in that sequence.
Nope.
They sit out for a little bit.
Not at the same time. Yeah. Had nothing to do with it.
I think training camp's in 5 weeks.
I think you are correct.
End of July.
It's going to go fast. I don't know what we're going to talk about for the next 5 weeks, but unless somebody gets arrested, which is very possible.
Yeah, I hope not.
I mean, not really with this team, though, because when was the last time that anything like that happened might have been Manuel Joseph.
Zay Jones.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Caleb Jones. But that wasn't really him.
No.
That wasn't really Caleb Jones. That was his brother.
Jumping out.
George Edwards. I think he had a DWI a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
because the guys that I keep thinking of, Michael Floyd got in trouble. I was like, well, no, not with the Vikings. So it was after,
Well, he did drink a lot of kombucha.
God, what a wonderful story that was. That was so great. Too much kombucha. God, that's why I read. I mean, how did anybody buy that? Well, Zimmer didn't, but man, that was so good.
You have to drink 60 to get 0.01.
Yeah.
60 in an hour.
Yikes, man.
He's he was mainlining kombucha.
For real.
As soon as he got home.
That's what I do. I just hook right up to this IV and kombucha right on it.
I don't even have blood anymore. It's just all
kombucha. That's actually, I'm surprised I'm not reading a higher number, because that's all that's in my veins right now is kombucha. Just amazing that.
Hey, they didn't re-sign him. I don't know why.
Yeah, shocking. Did he find his way to any team? Did he
he's still a free agent? I think he's had some visits. I think he visited with the Ravens.
Yeah, because he didn't even. He was on the team, but he didn't play much.
I think every free agent wide receiver visited with the Ravens this year. But no, I don't know. He might get a job before the season or during the season, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else to discuss? My list is empty now.
About everything tomorrow on the Viking Age, we are releasing the top or the 30 greatest Vikings of all time list.
Ooh.
So
who's number
one? We'll get a lot of. I'm not going to reveal that. I'll give you the 5 players that are in the top 5, but I won't reveal the order.
No, you don't have. You don't have to do that. I'm surprised you even acknowledged me.
I'm gonna.
Go. All right, please do.
Teaser, spoiler alert, or whatever. So of the 5, we've got. I gotta remember. Chris Carter, Randall McDaniel. John Randall, Alan Page, and Randy Moss. Those are the top 5.
Okay.
But not in any sort of order. They're in different order. You'll just have to read it and find out.
Right.
It's 5,000 words. So long. Took so long to edit.
That's a long list.
But,
that's a big project to tackle, man. That's
For
crazy.
people who don't like slideshows, I'm sorry. It's 30 slides. But, it's worth it when you find out who's number one.
Yeah, I mean, I hate knowing that I'm going to flip through all 30 of them, but I definitely will to figure out who's number one.
That'll be out on Tuesday. We're recording on Monday. I don't know when people will listen to this. They might have already read it by then.
Mm-hmm. It'll be tomorrow. This will be out tomorrow. Because I have been having a lot of trouble with it. That's part of the reason the internet is in the garage right now. It's because we needed an upgrade. We needed a very serious upgrade. So hopefully this and the video will both be out tonight, tomorrow.
Write that internet off on your taxes.
That's right. Exactly right.
Good job.
What do I have going on? Oh, yeah, Hot Dish in the Fridge coming out this week. That'll be good. And then I think that's it for this week for me.
I think we should start doing like Twitter questions or something.
Yeah, that would not be a bad idea at all.
Get more in this off season because I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty boring over the next 5 years.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I think that's a great idea. We'll definitely we'll put it out there with the Bleeding Purple account, and then you can ask separately and I can ask separately because I think that you have more followers than everybody, so you might get more of a response.
Ask anything too. It doesn't have to be Vikings related or anything. We'll answer anything.
Oh my God, 100%.
We'll give you horrible advice for any topic that you want.
All these things. You could talk music. I'm not a big art guy, but I definitely could discuss a little bit if you got art questions. I could tell you what's art, what's not art.
Relationships,
exactly.
If you really want to do that.
Yeah. Poor parenting tips.
Yeah.
I can give those.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really good idea. You're totally right. We should ask us anything. That's next episode. All questions, some relating to football, some maybe not so much.
Yeah. So tweet at me or Tyler or the podcast account.
For sure.
And we'll do that next week. We'll answer like all 3 questions that come in.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say it. And some from some maybe burner accounts. You won't know. It'll probably be Tyler123876 that asks that 1 or 2 questions. I don't know.
What do you think about the Bleeding Purple podcast? And that Tyler guy is pretty good.
I've never used this.
He wears normal collars, too.
All right, my friend. We will talk to you next week. Skol Blake.
All right. Oh.